Hello everybody and welcome to Lauren Loves Color. This is Lauren. I am here to show you a flip and semi-review today of these two books, Magical Unicorn Color by Numbers and Color by Number Magical Tales. One of these is not like the other, and I'm going to go into detail and kind of explain that a little bit. If you watched my haul video, you will have seen this book, The Magical Unicorn Color by Numbers. I wanted to do a formal flip through of this book because of just the number of images. It's something unique, and I haven't seen a lot of flip throughs on this book. On this book here, Color by Number Magical Tales, we'll do a flip through as well. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the differences in this book versus this one and kind of what the mistake that I made so that you don't make the same mistake. So let's talk about those differences first. You will see, and you can even tell by the dimensions of the book, that the dimensions of these books are very different. However, you can also see that things look very similar. They look to be the same style of book. Even the way that the titles are at the top seem to be somewhat similar, but these books are very, very different. I purchased both of these books on Amazon. There is a British version that has the U in color for both of these books, but I purchased kind of the US version. Now, this book is pretty regularly available on Amazon, sold through Amazon. This book, and there's a variety of different books. There are like an animals one, a farm animals one. There's a trucks and vehicles book that's very similar to this. But this one in particular was the one that stood out to me. And it actually on the Amazon listing, and I will try to post a picture so that you can see what it looked like, was the Color by Numbers, and it said fairy tales. And but it wasn't available just through Amazon sellers. You had to go through a secondary seller. And so I purchased this book through a secondary seller. It was supposedly a brand new book, and it was supposedly the exact same book. But when I got this in the mail, I realized very quickly that this is not the same book as this one. So let me just show you kind of the setup of this and kind of what I discovered. Inside of this book here, you'll see a few things. You'll see it's double-sided images. There is a color palette listed down below. It's the same 15 color palette on every single page, but this book itself, you can see, is rather thick. There are a lot of images in here. There are so many, in fact, that when I counted them, there are 91 images in this book. And I wouldn't have thought of that at first, but when I actually counted, because they do have the answer key in the back of the book, which I'll show in detail later, because they're double-sided, this book is rather thick and has a lot of images kind of jam-packed into it. Now, when you open the book here, it does have the name of the publisher, and many of us are already familiar with Arcturus Publishing. They publish quite a few color by number books geared towards adults and some geared towards children. There's also further information about the copyright of the book indicated here, and more information about Arcturus Publishing. Let me see, this edition was published in 2019, so it is a couple of years old. The images themselves, like I said, are framed. There are kind of usually like a little saying or something located in each image, and then the 15 color palette down at the bottom. And then it does also have just kind of a nice image and stuff on the back of the book. This book here, I knew something was a little bit weird when I saw that it had a different name at the top, and the dimensions of the book were very different. Also, I noticed that this book is quite significantly smaller. And so it kind of threw me off. At first, when I received it in the mail, and I received it from like I said, somebody outside of just Amazon, they said it was the exact same book as what was being represented, but it's not. Now, the image on the front of the book is exactly the same. The title is slightly different. Like I said, this one says Color by Number Magical Tales, and I think the one that they were representing said Color by Number Fairy Tales. And on the inside of the book, you'll see there is no publishing information listed here, and then there's just some general instructions for color by number. The one very, very large difference that you'll notice instantly is the images and pictures, and I'm just going to open this page just so you can see a little bit of the difference, is that the images are not framed. They are, and I'll zoom you guys in a little bit. They are not framed. There is no color palette down at the bottom. And I don't know if you can tell, but and this is what I really don't like about this book, is that let me turn on some light too, is that the image is like cut off on the side. So it actually goes through some of the numbers and cuts off some of the numbers on the image. But what I liked about this book, that's not this book, is that this has larger spaces as well to color in, which, I mean, if you maybe we're working with a child or you just enjoy the larger spaces, this might be your jam and this might be exactly what you want. This was not what I wanted. I was expecting something like this. I liked the tighter spaces in here. You got more detail in the picture fit in between. And so I wasn't very happy with this. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a flip through first. One thing that I noticed too on this book is I was trying to look and see like, well, who's the publisher and what's the information. This book in particular seems to be published by Vision Street Publishing, and this is from an edition in 2019, and they do have copyright information here. I did look up online, and this is a legitimate publishing company. This is not somebody who just ripped off this book and had it put together at like, you know, an Office Depot or anything. I mean, it does look and feel like an official book, but it is not the same. Also, the other thing too is that they do have the answer key in the back, just like the other one, but they have where you can cut and fold the color palette over so that you have it available like within your site at all times, which is kind of nice. But also the color palettes are different. It's almost like these are different artists that did these images, even though they look very similar. And this is gonna be a little bit of a struggle for me. Maybe I should do it this way. Let me see if I can zoom you guys in enough so that you can see it. This is a 15 color palette here. This is actually a 13 color palette. And so the last number here is beige. The last number here is black. So there is a difference in the color palette itself as well. And so that's when I was also like, I don't even know if this is even done by the same artist, or if the artist did this, you know, for a different publisher and to different images. I don't know. And without the other actual legitimate book to compare, it's really, really hard to know the difference. So I just want to let you guys know, when you are looking at these books online on Amazon, really pay attention to who the publisher is listed of the book. On some of the other books I did look, there are some that are done by the Arcturus publisher, and those are the legitimate books that are, you know, this style, the full images and stuff. And these books were not cheap. This one I want to say was around $13, but so was this one. This to me is not worth $13. This is like a $3 book to me, just because the number of images are not there. This book has 29 images. This book has 91. So you're talking about the same price, but I feel like you get a better quality picture out of this one. And this one you just don't. So let me flip through this one really quickly, because it is easier because it's not so many images. So let me zoom you guys in. And the thing is what stinks is that the images themselves are actually pretty cute. And if I had purchased this for a cheaper price and I hadn't known about this other book, I may not have even known any different. Now I did reach out to the seller of this book, and I have not heard back from her. It's been about two business days since I did receive the book, and that's the amount of time that they have to respond to me. So Amazon did let me know that if the seller doesn't respond to me about a way to return this book and get my refund, then I can file a formal complaint through Amazon, and I think they will refund my money or something. So you know, like I said, I just feel like the seller of this book highly misrepresented the book itself. I am not going to link the information to this down below. If you really want this book, if this book appeals to you maybe more than the others, you can search for it on Amazon and find it. I'm more so upset. I'm not necessarily upset that there's a book that's very similar. I'm upset that the seller misrepresented the book. I am upset that they said that this book was the exact fairy tales book, and it's just clearly not. And I'm upset that they haven't responded yet. I'm trying to give them some grace and give them some time, but in the same sense, I just feel like that's a little sneaky and I don't like it. So here's the images here. Like I said, they're really, really cute. They're really adorable, and they're consistent with the style of the images In the other book that I'm going to show you, I can even zoom in a little bit more just so you can see the images here. But yeah, I'm just, you know, and it was funny because I was just watching Lisa's Coloring Corner and she had that buyer beware video, and I was like, oh, I'm so lucky, I've never had that problem. And then this literally happened, I think the exact same day or the day after I watched the video. And so I was like, dang, I can't believe I've been duped. It does happen on Amazon. You just have to be careful with it. I will tell you, Amazon does have, and I hear this a lot from other color tubers and other people in the community. They're like, oh, well, I'll just throw it away, or I'll just set it aside, or maybe one day I'll color it or whatever. If you're not happy with a book, Amazon will return it for free. You don't have to pay the shipping to send it back. You don't have to pay anything. You can talk to their customer service, but honestly, you can go in and do a return without having to talk to anybody. And I know for me, I just had to take it to my local UPS store. I don't even have to bag it up or anything. They send you a little QR code. And so I just have that QR code on my phone. I walk to the UPS store, they scan it, and they take it back. No questions asked. I mean, if you damaged the book in some way or did something wrong with it, then that's a different issue. But I have never, ever had a problem returning a coloring book. And I've had to return several. Even one of the things I see most common is people ordered a book that they wanted, but the Amazon printing was really bad. The pages were printed on the wrong side of the book, or the black backed pages were messed up in some way, or the printing was completely off, or you have a big line through the image on like every other page. Return the book. I have done that multiple times because mostly what I'm returning them for is because I have received bad printed copies. Return the book and don't feel bad about it because you paid for a product that you didn't receive well. So I will be returning this book and getting my money back for it, but I did want to show it to you first. Next, let's look at the book that I think is actually worth the money and worth the investment. And I believe, like I said, that this book is still available, but I don't think it was like widely available. I want to say there were like maybe 18 copies or something left. It had a limited number when I was going to buy it. Oh, and I did also go back to look and see if I could find a legitimate copy of this book somewhere. And the only place that I was able to find it was eBay. I think there was one other discount store maybe that had it, that did say that it was the Arcturus Publishing. But now that I know this one has 91 images, I don't think I'm going to go back and buy the Fairy Tales book. I think if I get through this book, I will probably be lucky. So this is, let me see if I zoom in a little bit more if you can see that. Yeah. So the outlines are pretty bold. The colors are pretty dark. You will definitely see through these as you color them. Also, you have to color with watermarkers just because you don't want it to bleed through on the back of your page. But I just absolutely love this book. I just think it is so well done. It's so great. The colors on it are wonderful. And I mentioned this in my haul video. This says this is a unicorns book, but there are so much more than unicorns in here. There are fairies and mermaids and princesses. So I would say if you're into anything fantasy and whimsical, this is a really great book. Now, I can't do a full review on this yet because I haven't colored in it. So maybe when I come back on my completed pages, my goal is to do at least one page out of here for my completed pages for February, just so I can circle back with you all and let you know, how I like this book. And this review may go up after my completed pages in February, so you may have already seen me color in it. I also will post my thoughts about this book on Instagram, but I will I'll definitely give you guys some feedback. This paper is nicer than standard Amazon paper, and I think that is one difference between these two books as well. This feels like standard, hold on. No, I still feel like this feels a little bit heavier than the paper out of this, but this almost feels like standard Amazon paper to me. This is slightly thicker. However, I did have one person comment, I think on my last video, that to just be mindful of what markers you use. She mentioned that Crayola Super Tips bleed through. That Crayola Super Tips bleed through, which kind of surprises me because I usually don't have problems with Super Tips. And that was certainly a marker I was considering coloring in here, but I may try to use my Tombos or if you have some, you know, brush water markers, those might work. Oh, she did mention crayons work really, really well in here. And honestly, the spaces are big enough that you could definitely use crayons, I think, without a problem. So if you want to do some crayon work, this might be a really, really good book to do. Or even if you wanted to do something with a combination of gel pens. Now, gel pens, you do have to be careful with bleed through sometimes, but I like the quality of the paper. I really love the images in here. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of are these little quotes. But I mean, ultimately overall, now in having seen the other book, that was a flop, this one is, you know, a welcome refreshment. So I really like this. So yeah, so it looks really awesome. Cute little fairies. And that's why I'm also trying to color this in February, is for my, Flowers and Fairies February, or Flowers and Fairies 2021. I can't even remember my own hashtag, but trying to get some of this color to also for my hashtag. So yeah. So I think this looks really cute. I will link the information to a copy of this to Amazon down below. I do know, like I said, that there is a British version, and these may more widely be available in the UK. It might be that they're not as widely available here in the United States. So you can also check out Amazon UK if you're located overseas. You know, or look elsewhere for some of these books too. But I would definitely say, if you're interested, probably go ahead and snag up a copy, because I don't know how much longer they're going to be printing it, because this is not an Amazon printed book. All right, so that's it for the images. So let's look at some of these solutions. I like to look at these solutions, so just so you can kind of get an idea for what you're going to be looking at. And I love that these images have such a wide variety of colors. They're just absolutely gorgeous. So they're awesome. So let me pull this over here. Oh. So this just looks great. So, and like I said, it's 91 images, so you really get a really big bang for your buck. So with that being said, super cute book. Be aware of some of the alternative ones that are out there. Just be cautious of who you buy from. And just know that if you're not getting directly from Amazon, or you're not buying necessarily from a reputable seller, that you always just take a risk. I mean, with anything. But ultimately, this is not, you know, life-changing money and stuff either. It's not something that I'm going to be heartbroken over. It's not like I spent a ton of money on it, and I will get my money back. But just be mindful of which publisher you're choosing for these books, and find the book that fits the right style and comfort level for you. With that being said, that's all that I have today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.